Kalish, please take the roll.
Carroll. Murphy Lopez. Van Landuit.
Here.
Seep.
Happily here.
McKee. Brewer.
Here.
Luck. Manning. Gotcho.
Here.
Glassburner. Cooper.
Here.
Gentis.
Here.
Turk.
Here.
Cosgrove.
Here.
Brent.
Here.
Severson.
Present.
Williamson. Cooey. Nelson.
Here.
Call.
Here.
Okay, thank you. Call.
Here.
And McGuire.
Here.
You have your forum.
Thank you. Do we have someone available for the invitation? Don't see anyone online. Well, then we'll move to the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Kalish, if you'd lead us, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
I hope we've all had a chance to look over tonight's 34-point agenda. I would entertain a motion to approve that agenda.
So move.
Thank you, Mr. McGuire, seconded by Mr. McKee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We have an agenda. The minutes of May were also circulated. Have you read those? Did you see anything that you want to change in those? I'll entertain a motion then to approve those minutes as published. A move by Ms. Glassbrenner, and do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Seep seconds. All those in favor of the minutes as published signify by saying aye. Aye. They are approved. First item on the agenda is number 6. An ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Stephen and Cassandra Sanders in the town of Forest. Mr. Kalish.
All right, this is ordinance number 21-14, amendment number 524 to the Richland County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance number 5 relating to a parcel belonging to Stephen and Cassandra Sanders in the town of Forest. The Richland County Board of Supervisors says hereby ordain as follows. The 2.24 acre parcel belonging to Stephen and Cassandra Sanders, the town of Forest is hereby rezoned from general agricultural and forestry district to the single family residential R2 district. This ordinance is being offered by the Zoning and Land Information Committee.
You've heard the ordinance. What's your pleasure? A motion by Linda. Do I have a second? Yes, Mr. Cosgrove seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, I know that the director, the supervisor, whatever his title is, he's the director, I believe. I'm sorry about that. Mr. Bindle is not in attendance. So could we have someone from the committee speak to this, please? For background. Oh, okay. Well,
No,
Clerk Kalish just handed me some information,
yeah,
background. So I will simply read it. An ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Stephen and Cassandra Sanders in the town of Forest. They are building a new residence on 40 acres with existing residents. Bank is making them split off a residence and accessory buildings. Okay. All those in favor of this ordinance signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ordinance is passed. Item number 7, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Zane and Gabrielle Parker in the town of Forest. Mr. Kalish.
This will be ordinance number 21-15, amendment number 525 to the Richland County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance number 5, relating to a parcel belonging to Zane and Gabrielle Parker in the town of Forest. The Richland County Board of Supervisors does hereby ordain as follows, that the 18.81 acre parcel belonging to Zane and Gabrielle Parker in the town of Forest is hereby rezoned from general agriculture and forestry district to the agricultural residential district, and this ordinance is being offered by the Zoning and Land Information Committee.
You've heard the ordinance. What's your pleasure? Mr. Manning makes the motion. Seconded by Mr. McGee. You've heard the ordinance. What is your pleasure? Yes, we have the motion. Excuse me. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed? Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself here. This ordinance relating to the parcel for Zane and Gabrielle Parker. It's an existing parcel created in 2019 that was not rezoned, bringing it into conformity to build-out. So apparently this is unfinished business. All those in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ordinance is passed. Number 8, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Daniel DeClean in the town of Henrietta. Mr. Kalish.
All right, this will be ordinance number 21-16, amendment number 526 to the Richland County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance number 5, relating to a parcel belonging to Daniel DeClean in the town of Henrietta. Richland County Board of Supervisors does hereby ordain as follows, that the 11.2 acre parcel belonging to Daniel DeClean in the town of Henrietta is hereby rezoned from general agricultural and forestry district to the agricultural residential district, and this is being brought to you forward by the Zoning and Land Information Committee.
You've heard the ordinance. Miss, are you motioning forwardly? Thank you. A second by Linda. All those in favor of the ordinance? We'll have discussion. This is number 8 on my sheet here, and it's existing parcel created in 1987. We need to bring it into conformity to build an accessory structure. All right? Pretty straightforward. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ordinance passes. Number 9, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Michael Hanson, Jacob Colson in the town of Richwood.
All right, this will be ordinance number 21-17, amendment number 527 to Richland County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance number 5, relating to a parcel belonging to Michael Hanson and Jacob Colson in the town of Richwood. The Richland County Board of Supervisors does hereby ordain as follows, that the 2.5 acre parcel belonging to Michael Hanson and Jacob Colson and in the town of Richwood is hereby rezoned from general agricultural residential district to the single family residential district. This ordinance is being offered to you by the Zoning and Land Information Committee.
You've heard the ordinance. What's your pleasure? Mr. Chad. And Mr. Severson second.
Yeah.
Background.
The background on this is one neighbor is buying land from another neighbor that is zoned ag res, but total when purchased will be less than 5 acres. The new parcel gaining more land will be rezoned R2. Parcel losing land will stay ag res. Make sense? All those in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ordinance is passed. Number 10, a report on positions for zoning amendments received since the last county board session. To hear a petition of Jared and Rachel Wilson to rezone 21.96 acres from agricultural forestry to agricultural residential in section 4, town of Marshall. Okay,
Number 11.
and number 11. Report on rezoning petitions recommended for denial by the Zoning and Land Information Committee, and there are none. And number 12, we now have a resolution approving the town of Rockbridge's rezoning of a parcel belonging to Dennis and Cheryl Blood and James Cataravic. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution 21-74. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors in accordance with Wisconsin statute, section 60.62 sub 3, that approval is hereby granted for rezoning the 18.12 acre parcel from the Egg Forestry District to the Egg Residential District in accordance with the town of Rockbridge's zoning ordinances. This resolution is being offered to you by the Zoning and Land Information Committee.
Thank you. You've heard Mr. Lee, Mr. Van Landdyke, Mr. Van Landdyke. And do I have a second? Yes. Danielle. Cooper. Of course. Thank you. This rezone is done by resolution. We have a couple of townships in the county that have not passed or adopted the county zoning plan. So we have to do this by resolution. Since it is town zoned, it still needs county board approval. This has gone through the township, so it's up to us. And you've heard the explanation, you've heard the resolution. How do you vote? In favor? Aye. Opposed? The resolution carries. We have another one, a resolution approving the town of Ithaca's rezoning request of a parcel belonging to Ridge and Valley Hospitality LLC, Marty Richards. Mr. Kalish.
Resolution number 21-75. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors in accordance with Wisconsin statute, section 60.62 sub 3, that approval is hereby granted for the rezoning the 1.1 acre parcel from residential district to the commercial district in accordance with the town of Ithaca's zoning ordinance, and this resolution is being offered to you by the Zoning and Land Information Committee.
Thank you. You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure, Mr. Seep?
Yeah.
And Linda? Ms. Gentis makes the second. Now, my explanation here, the background, this zone is done by resolutions and it's town zone. It still needs county board approval. That's all I know about this.
Mr. Chair,
Yes?
the zoning administrator for Ithaca is present in this room right now.
Question.
Well, I'll refer to her.
Mr. Chair,
No, let's proceed.
Hi, this was acreage that was previously owned by the Brown family. It's been the same acreage for probably 30, 40 years. And it was just recently bought by the company that Marty Richards is going to set up a couple of cabins, and they're going to be what is it, A, B, and B they call them. He did try to get additional land to make the 2 acres, but nobody will sell to him. So the town board decided to issue a variance and rezone to commercial.
Thank you. That, of course, was Virginia Wiedenfeld, former county board member extraordinaire. You've heard the background, you've heard the resolution. All those in favor?
Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr. Seaton.
interested in what kind of hospitality is being offered to what cabin?
Virginia, do you have, the question is, what kind of hospitality is being offered? How many cabins? I think you said that.
I believe there's 2 small cabins that are going to be built. And it's not going to be like a B&B or bed and breakfast because Marty doesn't live there. It's just going to be the places for them to stay.
This isn't a replacement for the black cat.
The question, Don, I didn't hear.
This
Yes,
is-
if it was a replacement for the black cat.
No, no, it's not.
All right.
I think that license is expired, Don.
Yeah,
Too bad.
about 35 years ago. Okay, we've heard the resolution. What is your pleasure? Do you vote aye? Aye. Nay? The ayes have it. The resolution carries.
Yeah.
Okay. What one is- Okay, item number 14 has been removed. I'm not sure why, but it takes us down to resolution number 15. A resolution celebrating LGBTQ Pride Month. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 21-76. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the county board hereby celebrates June as LGBTQ Pride Month, and be it further resolved that the county board encourages residents to learn about and embrace the historical contributions of LGBTQ people in Richland County, and be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. This resolution is being offered to you by the Rules and Resolutions Committee.
Thank you. You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Ms. Cooper? Seconded by Ms. Call, yes, we got you. Okay,
Mr. Chair, may I speak?
you may.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I just wanted to speak a little bit to the county board about this because I know that there's an amendment being proposed for this tonight, and we have that in our email and sitting in front of us. And I'm going to speak about the resolution itself as it was presented by the Rules and Resolutions Committee. So we have brought several items to the county board. I brought several items to the Rules and Resolutions Committee regarding celebrating the county's diversity. And that's been done in a few different ways. One is to recognize groups that have more recently gained their rights or who have struggled in some way. We've had a few of those. Another has been to recognize people who have been established in our community for the past 200 years. So, for example, recognizing elected officials who have been long serving. Another is an agenda item coming up on people who have different occupations. You know, these are more groups in the establishment. So when we talk about diversity, it can sometimes get one-sided. And the point has been to have different groups represented in some of these resolutions coming forward to us. And I know that all groups have challenges and obstacles to overcome. So I don't want to say that this group that this resolution is about as necessarily is the only one to experience obstacles and challenges in living life free and with happiness. But so most people know I'm part of this community. And I know there's some discomfort with the use of the word pride in this resolution. So I'm going to speak about what this means to me personally and what I think it might mean to some other people in this community. So I did speak with one parent of an LGBT student at Richland Center High School, and she told me that when she heard that the proposal was to strike the word pride and to tone this down, she said that what she thought the opposite of pride is shame. And that shame, I think what she's concerned about and what a lot of people are concerned about is that can result in suicide. This, shame can come from all sorts of places on this topic. Obviously, it comes from peers in school oftentimes. I think most of us went to high school here. And we know about the slurs that are used against this community. It can come from the media. Probably most importantly, it can come from parents who are disappointed in their kids. And, we can look at the data about this locally. We have a survey of about 450 students at Ithaca and Richland Center High Schools. There was enough data, there were enough students who answered that they were LGBT, that they were able to come up with statistics locally. Students who are part of the LGBT community in these two schools, 44% of them reported being bullied on school property versus 27% of students who are not part of this community. 47% of LGBT students at Richland Center and Ithaca High School seriously considered suicide in the past 12 months and even made a suicide claim, according to the survey. Whereas only 13% of non-LGBT students did the same in that period. So, you know, I've heard, so if you want to look at data, there's the data. If you want to hear stories, there are also stories of local children, teenagers who have committed suicide who have come out. So I think this is a serious topic. You know, I can personally speak to experiencing the shame, and you know, you're kind of surprised when you come out and people say that you should be proud of who you are because of everything you've grown up with. So I understand people are uncomfortable with this word. Some people are uncomfortable with this word. But also to think in the minds of a kid who is dealing with these feelings, and to know that, you know, if you're part of another group, say whether it's, you know, another group that has been persecuted over centuries, say you're Black, say you're a female, say you're a Christian, some places Christians are persecuted, at least you have other people around you who are there to support you. And with this group, we really don't. So when we talk about, you know, should we send this message or not, that it's okay to be proud of this, you're really talking about someone's self-worth and their identity. I do want to mention that I think this resolution is just symbolic. It helps set the tone. There's a lot more, of course, that you know, is going to contribute to the mental health of young people and people of all ages, really, who deal with this issue. If they decide to deal with it, if they choose to tell people, which that is a choice, whether you want to tell people or not about this. And I do want to mention that I don't think that this is terribly radical to call it Pride Month as well. It's the commonly accepted term around the world for what this is. And then we have 2 local representatives in the state assembly, Todd Novak and Travis Tranel, who have introduced a resolution in the assembly to celebrate Pride Month. So that's why I think we should stick with Pride Month. I think this will help our local kids. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, Sean. Anyone else?
Chairman?
Mr. C?
Yes. I don't know whether this mic is working.
It is if you get close now.
Oh, all right, thank you. First, I want to say that we should all be very proud, should take pride in the courage that Sean has shown us tonight. I commend Sean for his courage. Oh, I don't have it. I always have a little trouble with these modern technological things like microphones. We should be very proud of him and we commend him. I commend him personally for his courage. His community supported him. He was very open about his lifestyle, and his district, his electors in his district supported him, and he elected him with an overwhelming vote. I'm proud that he is a colleague of ours on the county board. And all of us know how hard he has worked and how diligent he has been as a supervisor. He's done his due diligence in a very, very conscientious way. He's worked harder than most of us have, certainly harder than I had in the last year or two. The 1930s, I had a great uncle who went to the Richland County Normal. He was a contemporary of another school teacher from the town of Willow, a very prominent school teacher by the name of Boyd Ferguson. They were very good friends over the years. This great uncle taught around in various schools in Richland County. I guess the last school that he might have taught in was in Hub City. He was gay. And when it was discovered, he was bullied and persecuted by, I'm having trouble here again. Oh, thank you. I apologize, Mr. Chairman. He was heavily persecuted, and he was driven out of the community. He moved to Chicago. Eventually, his elderly parents moved there with him. It was a time of condemned with shame. Shame on you, sort of community force against him. He lived a very good life. He was an excellent school teacher. Retired in Chicago. He took care of his aging parents and to their dying day and buried them here, back here in Richland County, and he came back and was buried. What a shame that he couldn't come back to this community until he died. I have, and all of us have this in common. I'll bet there's not one of us that doesn't know someone, perhaps is related to someone who belongs to this community that Sean advocates for so strongly and so purposefully. And who are we to judge one another? I am proud, and this county and this community should take pride in this community, and I support this resolution wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Seep. Anyone else need to speak? Mr. McKee? Can you get closer to the mic, please?
I can. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I don't see any reason why we should change the wording of this resolution. Simply because it might make a few people uncomfortable. I think it's perfect the way it's written.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Gotchel, you had introduced a possible amendment that was circulated. Did you wish to bring that forward now, or are you standing pat?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Thank you Supervisor Murphy Lopez, and thank you Supervisor Seep. The stories that were talked about here tonight are exactly the stories that we should be talking about. My reason for bringing this amendment is not merit-based. It is based on the conviction that I believe government is at its best when it remains neutral in these things, when it comes to affirmation, whether that's perceived or direct affirmation of a particular sexual orientations. That said, we owe it as a board to put some light on inequality in our history and in our current status, and educate people and move towards full inclusion for all demographics. I think we can do that. I think we can accomplish both goals with this resolution without inadvertently calling to question any belief system of the other Democrats. So I would move to approve the amendment.
You're bringing forth your amendment? Okay, does everyone have the amendment in front of them? And it has, a motion has been made to amend. Do I have a second? Okay, Ms. Glassman seconds. All right, we'll have discussion then of the proposed amendment. Now, Mr. McKee has already made his statement, so I would welcome anyone else, or Mr. Seed has said his piece.
We have a
Mrs. Luck, Mrs. Luck. Well, yeah, we should read the amendment, shouldn't we? And I'm not sure where it goes. Is the amended, would it be the resolution in its entirety then? Or are there certain things taken out? No?
The change, the proposed changes are on the second page, that I handed out, and the proposed amendment in its entirety is.
All right. Mr. Kalish, you wanted, attempt the amendment, please?
So the proposed amendment is as follows: a resolution recognizing LGBTQ, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer history in Richland County. Whereas the nation has designated June as LGBTQ Pride Month, born out of the Stonewall Uprising in New York City on June 28, 1970. And whereas LGBTQ people have struggled with adversity to achieve full inclusion in American society. And whereas notable LGBTQ Richland County residents from our past have not been documented due to past and lingering social stigmas associated with being a member of this community. And whereas unnamed LGBT people across many centuries have held careers and raised families in Richland County. And whereas the county board wants to join in recognizing the contributions of our LGBTQ residents, now therefore be resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the county board hereby recognizes June as LGBTQ History Month, and be it further resolved that the Richland County Board encourages residents to learn about and embrace historical contributions of LGBTQ people in Richland County.
Thank you. All right, any more comments on actually, the whole resolution has been rewritten, but we're treating it as an amendment. Mrs. Luck.
I just want to say that I think the original version should stand. I think we're always talking about how we need to be more inclusive. We want to grow our community. And I think that we need to make as strong a statement as possible to support this particular group.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Ms. Cooper.
I agree with what, I would ask why would we exclude celebrating in Pride? Is my question. Why would that be necessary to exclude? Why wouldn't we be proud and why wouldn't we celebrate?
You're asking that rhetorically, I think. Ms. Gentis.
I want to say that I was part of a board group with the library, working toward getting a grant and acceptance with an inclusive. And I highly recommend we go with the original because it does show that we want to be a truly inclusive community.
Thank you, Ms. Glassbender.
Make sure this is on. Okay.
It's not.
Think it's on.
I think it is now.
Okay. I just want to say that I agree with the sentiments as far as we need to be recognizing the history and the times in our past when the LGBTQ community has been treated without the dignity and the value that they deserve. And so I am not opposed to that at all. In fact, I am strongly in favor of that. And in the ethical and fair treatments of all of these groups that we've been talking about. Where I believe that the reason why I would agree with the amendment is because when it comes to a reaction to what has happened in the past, I would say that the other amendments, or I'm not sorry, I'm sorry, not amendments, the other resolutions that Murphy Lopez referenced with women's history and the Black history. Those were resolutions recognizing the history, encouraging us as a board to learn about that and embrace that history. But it is not, for example, we didn't designate a Black Pride Month. And we designated it as a Black History Month. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because when we talk about what is the role of government, I believe that the role of government is definitely to be concerned with the fair and ethical treatment of all individuals and communities. However, to react to where that has fallen in the past by then putting forward resolutions or ordinances stating that we must now celebrate things that have been divisive or have maybe contradicted people's personal beliefs. I don't think that that is the role of the government in that instance. And so that's why I would support the amendment. And I just want to make it clear that this is not that I don't believe that we need to learn about the history, that we need to support equal and fair and treatment across the board.
Okay, thank you. I think I'm ready to call for a vote on the amendment unless anyone wants the floor. Yes, I have you may speak. Please identify yourself and.
Hi, my name is Shauna Cradwell. I am resident of Richland Township, District 16. I came because I just heard this afternoon about the resolution, and I just felt it was really important for me to express my support of it. And also, I mean, I didn't really understand what the amendment was saying, but I did hear, sorry, I'm really emotional about this right now because it's about my kid. I'm here for my kid. And I hear people say that discrimination against this community is in the past. It's not. It is here now. It's here today. My daughter did not attend her high school graduation last month, or her prom, or even go to school for the last 3 years because she was bullied and excluded and made to feel less than at the school in our town. I'm just going to read this email that I wrote earlier. I'm here to voice my support for the resolution. I'm a proud mama bear. I don't know if any of you have heard of the Mama Bears group, but I am a registered member of the Mama Bears. And I'm the parent of an 18-year-old gay human, and I will fight until my last breath for her to have every freedom and happiness that we all deserve. Chloe is a fantastic human whose presence fills every room she enters. She deserves to live fully and openly. Unfortunately, that has not been our experience in this community. She's a member of the class of 2021, but she didn't attend her graduation, senior prom, or homecoming, a single school activity, or even classes for the past 3 years because it was too hard for her. It was either she be a part of high school and sacrifice her mental health or walk away and survive. There was one high school counselor that tried so hard to help, but there just is no infrastructure to support these kids. I know that the resolution does not involve the schools, but what happens in our community is what happens in our schools. I'm sure that you've all heard the youth LGBTQ suicide statistics. Pride is suicide prevention for our kids. It is suicide prevention for my kid. She has a tattoo on each arm now, reminding her of the 365 days she gave herself before she would end her life. And I thank God every day that she made it to day 0 and realized that she wanted to live. I did hear that someone wants to replace the word pride with history. Pride is necessary because it is the opposite of shame, and shame is deadly. It leads to suicide. Like water quenches fire, pride quenches shame. And while history is important, it leaves out those who are here today and those who are to come. I could go on all day about this, but I just found out about it this afternoon and my thoughts aren't really that organized. But I would be happy to discuss this further with anyone and answer any questions that you all have. And I just want to thank you all for serving.
Thank you, Ms. Catterwell. And, you did a fine job. I don't think you could have been better organized, so. All right, anyone else? Yes, Mr. Van Landijk.
I want to thank Ms. Gradwell for her courage to speak to us today. And I totally agree with her and those others that would like to see this passed as is. High school teacher for well over. I was a high school teacher for well over 30 years, and I've seen many ACE students that went through exactly the same thing as she's speaking of. And even those today, those that I know, they find themselves in the same position. And I think that our support of this must be total. The United States Constitution guarantees this. The Bible, that a lot of people like to claim, says that we are all created in the image of God. And I think we do them a very great disservice to not support this. I think that we as a governing body recognize these things and should go forward with it. So with that, thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're going to call for a vote on the amendment. A vote on the amendment, which is basically a revised version of the original resolution. Depending on that vote, then we would take up the original resolution. If the amendment does not carry, if the amendment fails, then we would take up the original resolution. So all those in favor of the, yes, sir, Mr. Steve.
The roll call vote, please.
Okay, we will take a roll call vote. Yes, on the amendment. Aye in favor, nay against, or yes in favor, no against. On the amendment.
Harold,
Nay.
Murphy Lopez,
No.
Van Landwit,
Hey.
Seaton,
Hey.
McKee, Brewer,
No.
Luck,
No.
Manning, Gotcho,
Yes.
Glassburner, Cooper, Gentis, Herb,
Aye.
Cosgrove, Frank,
Yes.
Severson, Williamson, Dewey, Nelson, Paul,
No.
Nelson,
No.
and Call, I had a no, and McGuire.
Aye.
Motion does not pass.
What were the totals, please?
Five yeas, and the rest no.
Okay, the
14.
amendment then fails. We will vote on the original resolution. And once again, I guess we'll take roll call, to be consistent.
Harold,
Aye.
Murphy Lopez,
Aye.
Van Landwit,
Aye.
Seaton,
Aye.
McKee, Brewer,
Yes.
Luck, Manning, Gotcho,
No.
Glassburner, Cooper, Gentis, Herb,
No.
Cosgrove, Frank, Severson, Williamson, Dewey, Nelson,
No.
Call,
Aye.
McGuire,
No,
motion passes.
And
Motion carried.
yes, I understand. What were the numbers? please?
15 in favor, 4 not in favor.
All right, the resolution is adopted. Number 16, resolution recognizing emergency and healthcare service workers and volunteers. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution 21-77. Now therefore be it resolved the county board expresses its appreciation to all emergency and healthcare service volunteers and workers for their service to our county. And be it further resolved, the county board appreciates the contributions of all volunteers and workers, no matter the length of their service. And be it further resolved, if any group has been erroneously omitted from the above list, anyone may contact Sean Murphy Lopez, the chair of the county's Rules and Resolutions Committee at 608-462-3715 to request a correction. Be it further resolved, the county clerk is directed to send a copy of this resolution to each of these organizations set forth in the attachment to this resolution. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. This resolution is offered to you by the Rules and Resolutions Committee.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure?
Carrie Severson moves for adoption.
Thank you, Carrie. Second by McKee. Do we need discussion? I think this is certainly overdue and heartfelt, and we do owe that kind of recognition to those folks who got us through this thing. Yes, Mr. Severson.
Being one of these people that belong to these groups as a EMT and firefighter, and a person who works in healthcare at a hospital, I also want to thank our county employees, our county EMTs, our county law enforcement, and our county nurses and CNAs and LPNs for the greatest work that they're doing, especially during these trying times. And to a couple of our members that are on county board here as well, falling in this category.
Thank you. Okay, you've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted. Number 17, resolution amending resolution 2153, recognizing long-serving municipal elected officials. Mr. Kalish.
Resolution number 21-78. Now therefore be it resolved, the county board additionally expresses its appreciation to Mr. Wheeler for his many years of dedicated service to the residents of the town of Sylvan. And be it further resolved, the county board appreciates the contribution of all municipal elected officials, no matter the length of their service. And be it further resolved, if an error is found on the above list, or if any additional elected officials have been erroneously omitted, anyone may contact Sean Murphy Lopez, the chair of the county's Rules and Resolutions Committee at 608-462-3715 to request a correction. And be it further resolved, the county clerk is directed to send a copy of this resolution to Mr. Wheeler at 12976 Elk Creek Road in Viola, Wisconsin. Be it further resolved, this resolution shall be effective upon its passage and publication. This resolution is offered to you by the Rules and Resolutions Committee.
Thank you. You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. C makes the motion. Do we have a second? Mrs. Luck. Whenever you make a list, it's like the Academy Awards. They thank everybody, but they always leave out the most important person. So we try. And this is a correction to a list that we passed last month. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion, the resolution carries. Number 18, a resolution approving amendments to 4 2021 contracts for the Department of Health and Human Services. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 21-79. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the following amendment to the following 4 2021 contracts. Number 1 with Children's Hospital Wisconsin Community Services, Children's Service Society of Milwaukee, with the original contract being $49,500 and the amendment being $130,000 due to an increased need for treatment, for foster care treatment and respite services provided to children being served by the Clinical and Youth Services Unit. Number two, with Community Care Resources of Middleton, with the original contract being 49,500 and the amendment being 120,000 due to an increased need for treatment, foster care, and respite services provided to children being served for the Child and Youth Services Unit. Number three, with Positive Alternatives of Menominee, with the original contract being for 49,500 and the amendment being for 75,000 due to an increased need for group home care provided to children being served by the Child and Youth Services Unit. And number four, with the Southwest Wisconsin Workforce Development Board of Platteville, with the original contract being for 49,500, amendment to $230,000, resolution 21-50, and an additional amendment being for 525,000 due to an increased need for leased employee services. And be it further resolved that the Health and Human Services Board is hereby authorized to amend the above contracts by not more than 15%. And be it further resolved that the Director of Health and Human Services Board is hereby authorized to sign above contracts on behalf of the county in accordance with this resolution. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. This resolution is being offered to you by county board supervisor members of the Health and Human Services Board.
You've heard the reading of a resolution. What is your pleasure?
I would move and
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. It's like a voice out of nowhere. Thank you. Thank you for your motion. Do we have a second? Mr. McKee? Do we have further discussion? I thought Director Thorson was here, but. Oh, there she is. Please,
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Director Thorson.
The first three contracts are contracts for, placement services for youth. Those contracts, we put in place at the beginning of the year, not knowing which contracts will be necessary, kind of dependent upon availability and the needs for placements. So the, first contract, there are, 4 placements there that we recognize now will need to go on, into the year. And the second one is also a placement with 3 youth placements. The fourth one is a placement that will be extended into August, so the contract need is not as great. The final contract, the larger one for Southwest Workforce Development Board, is for our leasing of employees for our staffing needs at Health and Human Services. And we started this contract really with a placeholder because we weren't quite sure how large that contract would need to be. Because of the pandemic, there were several limited term employment positions that we needed to determine how long we would need those. And also Health and Human Services had a plan to transition 5 full-time lease positions into county positions as part of our budget plan for 2021. When that plan was not approved, those staff would continue as lease staff. So even though this is a large contract increase, so the funding for that was included in our budget. It's just not under county employment anymore. It will be under these lease staff that had originally been in those positions. Mr. Chair, if there's any questions.
Thank you. You've heard the explanation from Director Thorson. Do you have questions? And you may direct them directly to her.
Thank you. So the question is, I'm looking at the difference of about approximately $500,000. Where's the money? What's the budgeting for this? What's the plan for that?
Sure. So roughly $130,000 to $140,000 is those public health COVID-related pandemic response. We are receiving funds from the Department of Health Services to cover that. The remaining funds are various positions within Health and Human Services. There's originally roughly $100,000, $101,000 in regular part-time positions. And then those 5 full-time regular positions, let's see, I think 4 of them are in behavioral health and funded through Medicaid, CCS reimbursements. And 1 is in the administration, that's our custodian position.
What's the impact on the budget and on extra money have to come out for this, or is this all gonna be covered?
This is all covered. The original amounts were included in the budget, other than the pandemic funding that we saw that we were going to receive that probably in December. We just weren't quite sure how much we would need to tap into.
Okay, anyone else have a question or comment? Are you prepared to vote on this resolution? If so, all those in favor of the resolution indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted. Number 19, a resolution approving the Department of Health and Human Services applying for and accepting 2 United Givers grants. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 21-80. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the Health and Human Services Department to apply for and accept the following 2 United Givers grants, which total up to $1,275 with no county match or cost. Number 1 is $275 to the Aging and Disability Resource Center. Number 2 is up to $1,000 to the Child and Youth Services Unit. And be it further resolved that our approval is hereby granted for the grant funds to be spent in accordance with the terms of the grant. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. Be it further resolved that the Director of Health and Human Services Department, Ms. Tracy Thorson, is hereby authorized to sign on behalf of the county and any documents necessary to carry out this resolution. This resolution is being offered to you by the County Board Supervisor members of the Health and Human Services Board.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure, Mr. Van Dyke? And do I have a second? Mr. Murphy Lopez. This is pretty cut and dried. We're accepting some grants. And when we accept grants, they always come before the board. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. The resolution is adopted. A resolution, number 20, a resolution amending the pay plan for certain positions at Pine Valley Community Village. Mr. Kalish.
Resolution number 21-81. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that both fiscal clerk A and fiscal clerk B positions have their wage grade moved from grade E to grade F in the county's pay plan for Pine Valley, which at their current step 5 would move their hourly wage from $17.56 to $19.85. And be it further resolved that the job title for fiscal clerk A be changed to payroll and accounts payable clerk, and the job title for fiscal clerk B be changed to billing specialist. And be it further resolved that the cost of this proposal, $4,500 for the remainder of 2021, will be paid for from Pine Valley Operations and Reserves. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective on June 20th, 2021. This resolution is being offered by the Finance and Personnel Committee.
Thank you. You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure, Mr. Seeb? And seconded by Ms. Cooper. Discussion? Question? Mr. Lopez.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to speak about why I voted against this when it came to finance and personnel. The reason was that the practice is that whenever a department head wants to reclassify a position, they send the request to reclassify to our consultant, Carlson Detman, and then they make a determination. In this case, Carlson Detman agreed with one of the fiscal clerks being reclassified, but not the other fiscal clerk being reclassified. So Mr. Rislow from Pine Valley Community Village brought this forward to us and asked us to basically overturn what the consultant had recommended. And I think that opens up other instances where we're going to be asked to do this in opposition to what our consultant is recommended. So that's why I voted no.
Okay,
That's my explanation.
thank you. And then I think it's appropriate that we call on Director Rislow to comment on that.
Thank you. Teresa Deckert, Business Office Manager at Pine Valley, had done the research on her staff's changes in responsibilities and difficulties and complexities of their tasks, and came up with 15 different items that have changed on their tasks. She had to convince me first that we needed to do something about these two people's wages. Eventually she got past me, and then we needed to go to the trustees and convince them. Then we needed to go through Patrick Glenn at Carlson Detman. Carlson Detman's person, Patrick, did not come to Pine Valley. He did not interview our staff. He did not send a surrogate to do any shadowing. He made his decision based on paperwork that we sent to him. Truth be known, being totally transparent about this, with these two positions, the one that I thought was going to be a slam dunk that he would for sure approve was the one he didn't. Perhaps we didn't do as much due diligence with that paperwork that perhaps that he was looking for. And the other one that we knew was we were confident about, he did approve. But I will say that Sean left out the fact that Patrick Lynn did recognize that each person is clearly doing more complex work and has more responsibilities. One of them has, in his report to us, needs to be changed in 4 different categories, and the other one was 5 different categories. So he has, in essence, agreed that both positions have grown in complexity and responsibility. In the end, I would trust someone as Chris Deckard has been in the county's employee for over a couple of decades, works most closely with these people, and understands their work the best of anybody, and will go by that. For your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Mr. McGuire.
How many positions does this affect, and what would be the annual impact on the payroll of the facility?
Well, I can answer the first 2 positions, and the annual impact is
It'll be close to $10,000.
$10,000.
Through April of this year, we are ahead of budget by $58,000.
While you're there, Tom, tell us briefly what these people do and how important they are to your institution.
I would, with respect, though, everybody's job at the county is important.
Yes.
Chairman, and everyone does lots of work, so I hate to single them out as everyone does good work. This particular resolution has been brought forward simply because their complexity of their work has substantially changed and deserves to be in a different category.
Thank you. Mr. C.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I guess I don't need the mic.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do, because Van won't be able to hear you otherwise.
Well, got a mechanical problem, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I'd just like to say that this proposition has been reviewed extensively at more than one meeting, and has been unanimously supported by the Board of Trustees, whom you have elected to provide oversight over the Pine Valley operation. And after that, it has been reviewed by the Personnel and Finance Committee, and they have also approved it. I have been on this Board of Trustees now for a significant period of time. And you can't run any business unless you have a good accounting system and good bookkeeping. We have excellent accounting and accountability because of these 2 people. And we need these positions retained. And one of our goals in personnel management is to provide for the retention and development of our employees, to secure their future with our organization. Too often, we lose good employees because we don't make the right personnel decisions. So I strongly support this, and I am joined by the unanimous support of the Board of Trustees. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Gotchall.
I have a question, I think directed towards somebody on finance and personnel. What's the nature of our relationship with Carlson Detman? Would we typically run things like this through them for approval, or has there been recent history to that end?
Well, thank you. I'll comment. Yeah, we do. We do run things through them. They did the overall assessment and recommendations. When was that? 4 years ago now? And subsequent positions have been put by them for review.
I guess I would have to agree with Supervisor Murphy on the sentiments, and I think this sets a precedent that we don't want to touch.
Okay, anyone else? All right, I'm gonna call a vote then on the resolution amending the pay plan for certain positions at Pine Valley Community Village. All those in favor of the resolution so indicate by saying aye. Aye. Was that an aye, Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Thank you. All those opposed signify by saying no.
No.
Okay. For my sensitive hearing, the ayes have it. Would you agree, Mr. Taylor?
I would agree. Yes.
All right, thank you. So the resolution is adopted. Number 21, a resolution authorizing the Management Information System Department to purchase IBM Power System 9009-1. I'm not gonna read these, please. But, Mr. Kalish, you have any more information for us?
Yeah, so this will be resolution number 21-82. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the Management Information Systems Department is authorized to purchase an IBM Power System, also known as the AS400, from Avenue Insights and Analytics LLC for the amount of $61,279.26 plus freight, and to purchase an APC UPS from CDWG at a cost of $1,873.46, and to purchase backup services from UCG Technologies at a cost of $6,778 for a 1-year contract. And be it further resolved that the cost of this purchase is to be taken from the Computer Outlay Fund number 42. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. This resolution is being offered to you by the Finance and Personnel Committee.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. McKee, seconded by Mr. Van Landijk. Anyone here from MIS want to speak to this? I think Clint might have something to share.
Mr. Chair, this system controls our budget, our financial software, and also our payroll. We did have a scare with it a few months ago, I believe in February, where the system went dead on us. We had some fan problems. We had to shut it down entirely, scramble to get fans put in, pray that it came back on. Several months later, then we also had another failure. We were able to do another fan change out with it hot, with it not shutting down. The age of the system and the condition of the system puts it in a ticking time bomb scenario of if we don't get it replaced, it's not a matter of if it will fail, it'll be when it fails, and if we're going to be able to recover data from it, and in the interim on what we're going to do to try to do payroll and pay our bills accordingly. So this solution puts us with a new unit that we're going to put in the HHS building in the server room, which is climate control. And our backup, rather than being on a tape system in which employees are taking our tape backups home with them for protection, will be a cloud-based backup, which it'll be transposed to a place far away and hopefully out of catastrophe of it.
In the clouds, Mr.
Yes, it'll be in the clouds. Everything is safe.
I can attest to the weekend that we put in worrying about the fan and whether or not the system, the AS400 system, would come back online. It was a few beads of perspiration. Mr. McGee?
This is probably irrelevant, but what are we doing as far as preventing ransomware? That's a big topic now in this country.
Yeah, but that's not germane to this discussion, but it's a good one. And I share that concern, so we'll address that in the future. Mr. Carroll?
Yeah, I wondered if, MIS could comment on getting the hardware from Avenue and not using them for the backup services.
Thank you. Did anyone comment on that? What, ma'am?
Avenue doesn't, do the online backup. That's why we're going to another company. They do the tape backups, which we will continue to do, but they do not do, base backups. So we have to go to another vendor.
So I understand you'll be in both tape and cloud.
That's correct. This data is important.
Thank you. If I can interject, and correct me if I'm wrong, Director Scott, but they did offer us a solution where we could do our entire system in the cloud remotely. But that would be then a annual contract, and then our data would be off-site if we would have internet downage for the boost of connectivity, as well as this is kind of seen as a solution in which in the next 5 years, we're going to investigate if we want to stay with this current IBM box system or take on a new ERP system. So if we contracted with them, we would have data out there that we would be obligated to keep kind of on file. This way we have our own box where we can still have the historical reference to look back into it without having to upkeep a contract. Did I say that correct, Director Scott?
Absolutely.
Okay, this is the big box. We need it. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted. Number 22, a resolution petitioning the Secretary of Transportation for Airport Improvement Aid, Mr. Kalish. No. Administrator Langrick, could you give us a summary of this resolution?
Yes.
It's rather lengthy.
Yes, Mr. Chair. The bottom line of this resolution, which is a kind of a cookie-cutter drafted resolution coming down through the Department of Transportation, is this is what we would need to do to petition to the Secretary to accept the grants coming through the state, which again is like a 5% share of the federal grant money for the project. So again, this is the $9.5 million airport improvement project, which includes a runway, raising the runways, raising a taxiway, and then putting in an irrigation ditch from the airport down to Bear Creek. So this is something that we have to check off to be eligible to apply for the grant for the federal funds.
Thank you. This is a project, an ongoing project. This is the Tri-County Airport we're talking about, the one that we shared with Iowa County, Sauk County, and Richland County. Iowa County dropped out a year ago. And I personally was in favor of Richland County walking away until I got involved in the project and attended some of the meetings and found out that the airport is vital to at least one large employer. And well, Cardinal Glass gave me a report that said that Cardinal employees who reside in Richland County are paid $19 million in payroll. That to me told me that, hey, a lot of this money is coming into Richland County. I can't guarantee every dime of the 19 million is spent here, but it seems to me that it's significant. And if we're looking at ways to improve the economy, to stimulate economic growth, we ought to continue that airport. Why is it necessary? Because it's long, it has long runways. You can land jets there. You can't do that at Sextonville. And this grant that we're applying for is one of the amazing ways that you can leverage a small local amount into millions and millions of dollars, and that's what we're talking about. We also have, to help us get on this project, get along on this project, we have obtained corporate help, a promise of corporate help to get us on the road with this. So I think this is one of those projects that poor Clinton Langrick did not foresee when he signed up, came to us and applied for the administrator position. But there it was looming, and lo and behold, it's upon us. But this was a rare opportunity, I believe, for the county. Mr. Van Landen? Yes, thank you. I had a motion and a second by Mr. McGuire. All those in favor of accepting this grant indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. The resolution is adopted. A resolution number 23, adopting a memorandum of understanding for additional duties of the county clerk, Mr. Baelish.
This will be resolution number 21-84. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that a memorandum of understanding has been developed between the administrator and county clerk and has been reviewed by the Finance and Personnel Committee. And be it further resolved, the memorandum of understanding includes, number one, the duties, responsibilities, and authorities defined by the additional duty financial officer job description is filed in the county administrator's office. Number two, assistance with strategic goals of resolution number 21-107. Section 3, make resolutions and ordinances available and organized on the internet. And then section 7, develop finance and purchasing policy to increase admin authority on purchasing. And then number 3, begin preliminary assessment of planning for possible next generation finance and payroll system. Be it further resolved, the memorandum of understanding is an agreement containing additional duties, responsibilities, and authorities which may not be statutory by Wisconsin State Statute 59.23 sub 2 sub C, and these extensions of duties beyond statutory are performed at the discretion of Clerk Derek Kalish with his consent. If performance concern arises related to these extra duties which extend beyond the scope of Wisconsin State Statute 59.23 sub 2 sub C, it is recognized that they may not constitute for cause as defined through Wisconsin State Statute 17.001 and 17.09 sub 1. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. This resolution being offered to you by Finance and Personnel Committee.
Thank you. You've heard the resolution. Much the pleasure. Mr. Sieb makes the motion. Seconded by Ms. Glasrenner. Anyone care to comment on this, please? Do you all understand, Mr. Murphy Lopez?
Yes, sir. Okay, I just wanted to thank Mr. Langrick and Mr. Kalish for coming up with this MOU so quickly. I think we were just here, was it even last month? It feels like last month, maybe it was 2 months ago, when we were talking about the clerk's salary. And we had this MOU included in there, and this solves several of our issues. They're not perfect solutions necessarily, especially the finance officer one, but I really appreciate that they worked this out so quickly and that Mr. Kalish was willing to step up and take on a lot of these extra responsibilities. So thank you.
Thank you. Do we need any more comment, or are we ready to vote? All those in favor of this memorandum of adopting this memorandum of understanding signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted. Now, according to my agenda, number 24 has been struck. So we will not address them. I don't know. I have no explanation other than it's not there anymore. Number 25, a resolution authorizing the County Parks Commission to accept a donation from the Richland Center, Rotary, and Simons Foundation. Mr. Kalish.
This would be resolution number 21-85. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that authority is hereby granted for the County Parks Commission to accept a donation of benches, a picnic table, a bike fix-it station, and a bike rack for a value up to $10,000 at no cost to the county. And be it further resolved that Richland County and the Richland County Parks Commission will be responsible for maintaining the donated items. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. This resolution is being offered to you by the County Board Supervisor members of the County Parks Commission.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mrs. Call and seconded by Mr. McKee. Looks pretty straightforward. Mr. Seep?
Question. Where did this donation come from, or can you reveal that?
Rotary Club.
Rotary Club. Thank you, Rotary Club.
Yeah. Good outfit. Although, all those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted. A resolution number 26, amending the Richland County Strategic Plan for 21 through 24. Mr. Kalish.
This is resolution number 21-86. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the Richland County Strategic Plan for 2021 through 2024 is hereby amended with the following changes to the listed priorities. Postponed is number 4, develop more uniform HR policy and procedure. Number 6, develop plan and funding for more broadband. And number 7, develop financial and purchasing policy. Amended is number 5, which is implement a uniform department head performance review program. Be it further resolved that the guidance on administrative focus will be reported to and managed through the Finance and Personnel Committee. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective upon its passage and publication. This resolution is being offered by the Finance and Personnel Committee.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mrs. Luck. Seconded by
Second.
David. Mr. Kirk. All right, can someone speak to this, please? Give us some background. Mr. Langrick, I imagine you've got some comment.
Mr. Chair, back a little over a year ago, we established a resolution deciding on the administrative priorities that included 12 priorities that you see on the top. Since that time, a list I believe that I presented to Finance and Personnel showed about 70 plus new types of projects and priorities that have been requested through different departments, different committees, and individual supervisors. In trying to manage through that list, I feel we can get the other 8 here successfully accomplished, but some of the things that are creeping under the plate and taking precedence are a matter of timing and priority, include bolstering our budget process, putting out proper guidance, as well as dealing with more in depth with how we're going to manage our IT going forward into the next budget, dealing with the Tri-County Airport issue, the ambulance garage issue. Those were some of the additional items that we kind of tried to take priority. These other ones will not be forgotten. It just may be pushed off until the next session. The 5th one with the Uniform Performance Review Program, I'm going to try to make all efforts to do a thorough job on evaluating my department heads, but for that to get in place and then trickle down to evaluating employees and then to making sure that we're properly administering and reviewing that program, we just don't have bandwidth for right now to make it something that's going to be meaningful. So that's why this is brought forward, to keep you folks kind of in the loop as the guidance came directly from these 21 folks, to make sure that you understand that we're changing course on some of our administrative priorities. Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Clint, I want it now. I want everything. I want it now. And obviously, we can't have everything now. So we have to take another look, reorganize, reprioritize, and in the spirit of transparency, here it is. So I'm going to vote in favor. Will you join me? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. A resolution authorizing the purchase of new heat exchangers for the courthouse. Mr. Kalish.
Resolution number 21-87. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that authorize the purchase of 4 heat exchangers from Precision Controls and Services LLC, not to exceed the $24,000 allocation out of Fund 75 short-term capital borrowing. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective upon its passage and publication. This resolution is being offered to you by the Property Building and Grounds Committee.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. Cosgrove, seconded by McKee Carroll. I'll go on Carroll this time. And we need new heat exchangers, obviously, I guess. I don't imagine the old ones are much more than 60 or 70 years old or something. So, anyone have a question? It's all covered under our borrowings, Fund 75. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, we have new heat exchangers. A resolution approving an engineering contract for, here it is again, the Tri-County Airport improvements. Mr. Alish.
All right, resolution number 21-88. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval of the Jewel Associates Engineers Inc. contract is granted at the sum of $120,950. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. This resolution is being offered to you by the Finance and Personnel Committee.
All right, you've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Harry Severson makes the motion. Mr. Cosgrove seconds. I'll call on Clinton again to speak to this.
Mr. Chair, this becomes kind of a chicken and the egg kind of a scenario here. We have to have the contract work done in place and to have funds kind of come back to us to help pay for it. This project is to do the drainage ditch and also to do an acquisition of the land. Part of the amount that's going to be covered for it will be shared with Sauk County to make things a little bit further complicated. We have not come to an agreement on the ordinance on what that appropriation share is going to be. This year, we shared 75 with Sauk County was 75 and ourselves with 25. Presumably, we arrive at the same type of arrangement going forward. Part of the local share also will be shared. We have funds available with Cardinal Glass that's making a donation directly to the commission. And then it is foreseen that we may have access to the American Rescue Plan monies to cover part of this as well. This contract was signed into, already got a signature on it based on an approval by the commission. It is underneath the context of an emergency type of a situation, as we have to get things in place by August in order to again be eligible for that grant. So I've signed into it and I'm asking you sheepishly to now cover me and make a motion on here to pass this contract in accordance with your county board rules, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir, Mr. McGuire.
I'd like to add that the engineering firm has already put in about a year's work at this point, so.
Mr. McGuire is a member of the Tri-County Airport Committee. He's been there. He knows what's going on. And he does indicate, I don't know if you heard him because I don't know if his mic was on, but he says that Jewel and Associates have already put in a year's work. And that's true, they have. They've been at every meeting, so this is catch up. I don't think that Administrator Langrick has to feel sheepish about this. It moves pretty fast because the state has indicated if we miss this window of opportunity for this grant money, it's probably gone for this project. In other words, we'd be looking at something maybe 5 to 10 years down the road. If we jump now, we do have a great opportunity. So, all those in favor of this resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted, and you don't have to feel sheepish, Administrator Langford.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Number 30, a resolution authorizing the purchase and installation of air handler controls in the campus student center. Mr. Kalish. Did I miss? Oh, I'm sorry. Number 29, it almost read the same. It did for the first few words. A resolution approving an engineering contract for Richland County CDBG closed project Lone Rock Village Center Park. Mr. Langdon, Mr. Kalish, please.
Resolution number 21-89, now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that Ayers Engineering be selected and that their proposal of $37,300 be approved. And be it further resolved that the funds for service rented shall come from the CDBG closed Lone Rock Village Center Park Project Grant Funds. This resolution is being offered to you by Finance and Personnel Committee.
Thank you. You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure, Mr. Van Landijk? And Mr. Dwyer, you second this, don't you? You're a Lone Rock guy.
I was involved in this project early,
Mhm.
and it's actually connected to a slightly larger project right here in the city of Richland Center. It's absolutely essential that.
Are you seconding, first of all?
I'm second.
All right. Go ahead and speak to
And
it.
it's essential that both projects are accepted. If one is rejected, then both projects are gone and the money is gone.
Yeah, and to give you further history, this is the money that has been floating around that the county used to give out in startup loans to businesses. And that whole project, enterprise, whatever, ended. And so the state of Wisconsin said, well, we thought of some other way. If you come up with identified projects that the money, certain hoops had to be jumped through, of course, but the money then can be used in these other ways. So, one of the first tasks of the Economic Development Director, Jason Glassbrenner, once again, an innocent guy walks in a room and bang, here you go. Find a way to spend this, I don't know what it was, $1.5 million.
1.2 million.
1.2 million. And he did. And he's got some real good projects. One is the Lone Rock project, another is the elevator at the auditorium.
Lone Rock is gonna get 500,000, Richland Center is gonna get 700,000.
Okay. All right. Okay, so this is a continuation of that ongoing enterprise. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, the resolution is adopted. Now it would go to number 30, a resolution authorizing the purchase and installation of air handler controls in the campus student center. Mr. Kalish.
Resolution number 21-90, now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that they authorize the purchase and installation of air handler controls from Precision Controls and Services LLC in the amount of $6,734.72 allocated from fund number 32, which is the DW Center Richland outlay. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective upon its passage and publication. This is resolution being offered to you by the UW Platteville Richland Committee.
You've heard the resolution. Ms. Gentis makes the motion, seconded by Mr. Frank. Okay. Any comments? I think we need some new things over in the campus. Deferred maintenance only goes deferred for so long. All those in favor of this resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Number 31, appointments to various boards, commissions, and committees. I will call on Administrator Langgraf.
We have no appointments for this evening.
Okay. Reports, Administrators Report, Land Conservation Department Report. And it's Kathy here. Why don't you give your report, please? I will call on Kathy Cooper first.
It is, okay, it's fine. Good. The first report is just our annual report. It lists, the projects we work on are, every year and what we've done in those. And then it also talks about the practices, we assisted with and in, for installation, either we had that contract for from the state or we worked for other agencies on. So I'm not gonna go into detail on that. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you have any questions, please call us. We'd be happy to, answer any questions.
The second one though I want to talk about is, we did the spring, thanks to the budget, that, you as a county board gave us, we did the second of our well testing. Did the spring, we did it in April 19th. Yeah, we paid $55 a sample. We sent out 400 letters. And we got 68 people who participated in this project. The results were, of the nitrates, you definitely want them below 10 milligrams per liter. And we had 6 out of the 68 were above 10. I don't have the state, UW, Stevens Point has not sent us the maps yet, and hopefully we'll have them in the near future. We can see exactly where those were located. We had 2 of the wells test positive for coliform bacteria. It does not mean there's an issue, but it means there's something where bacteria is getting into your system. Out of those 2, one of them did test positive for E. coli, which is not good. And if it does test positive for E. coli, you need to, first of all, bleach the well and see if it's just a incident, but then you also should look at your well and see if there's sources of contamination. Cracked well cap, or missing well cap, and there's lots of other things. So, and in the report, I sent him, Kalish. I also put a comparison in what happened what we had in the fall, what we had in the spring. These are not the same wells. We tested, between the 2 studies, we tested on 150 wells. Our plan is, Katie met yesterday, at the land conservation meeting yesterday. We want to do some further investigation, talk with the other 2 counties, see what the next step is with our results, and go from there. So I don't get anybody has any questions or any committee members any comments.
Mr. Seaton,
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Kathy,
you may address Kathy Cooper directly.
thank you. Kathy, can you hear me?
Yes,
You mentioned that, where are you?
back in the back, in the back here.
In the back.
You mentioned that, you tested 150 wells. Did you say how many of those were contaminated or passed?
Well, in the spring, the last fall, there were 11 wells that tested above 10 on the nitrates. This time there were 6. Last time for coliform, there was 25 that tested positive for coliform, and one of those was positive for E. coli. This time there were only 2 that tested positive for coliform, and again, one was for E. coli. So it's hard to compare one to the other, but out of those, we had 20 out of the 150, we had 27 that tested positive for coliform, 2 were E. coli, and I have to add it up in my head. That's about 17 tested above 10 on the nitrate scale. Would you definitely want it below? That's your question?
Yes, were these wells, located, did you find a pattern that they were located toward a certain source, or were they spread out?
We don't have the map for the last one, the one in April, the one in October. It did show, a lot of the pattern were in more sandy soils for the nitrates, which is kind of expected for the most part. I don't know if any members might show the map last fall, but that's what I kind of gathered out of the map. So those are some, sand does not filter water very well. So it doesn't surprise me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Cooper, and thank you for staying throughout the whole meeting. You didn't throw anything at me hard enough. I missed you. Thank you for your report. Did you have a report for us, Administrator Langren?
Oral report, Mr. Chair, kind of the two biggest things that I'd like to make you aware of is continue meetings through finance and personnel. We're going to only continue diving deeper into the budget process here in the next few months. Certainly encourage all members to continue keeping your eyes on those meetings, attending in person or watching the materials or watching the videos may be of great value to you as we build up towards a decision and moving forward with a budget, and also in decisions on if we're going to move forward with continued borrowing. So certainly encourage you folks to stay in tune to those discussions. Our next meeting will be this Friday, the 18th. Another item that is gaining attention in the community is in regards to the UW campus. At the next RED meeting, the Richland Economic Development meeting in July, there may be resolution drafted, prepared, and proposed by that committee to approach the Board of Regents with our contract with the campus, asking to have the back of that parcel removed from the contract and giving the county access to the agriculture and to the wooded area up on the hill, having that removed from the agreement and back in the possession of the county. An idea proposed forward from the Richland Economic Development is to consider that for future potential development. That conversation would come through RED. It would come through UW campus on its way to the county board for discussion. So there will be 3 public meetings to learn about that item and to express your opinions in regards to that prior to any type of action. And again, that's many hurdles to cross in that, and without going into the details and the discussion on it here at this meeting, just be mindful of those conversations that are going to happen. Last one is Marty, I think we should probably get you a pay increase. You're doing a heck of a job as I try to flatter you up going into the budget here. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, and same to you, buddy. Okay. Correspondence, we have something here, Mezanahigan, a chronicle of the late Superior Ojibwa. So, there we have it. Anything else that we have for correspondence? This is the Wisconsin County Officials Directory. Everyone is in here. And our latest Wisconsin Counties magazine. This thing has got a lot of good information in it, so I expect you to read it cover to cover.
Have a test.
It'll be a test, Mr. Chairman.
Mr.
Move
Chairman.
for adjournment. You may.
Just-
Kalish.
Just to let you all know, in the white boxes behind you are the copies of the 2021 or the 21-22 directories that Marty just spoke about, as well as another thing from Southwest Regional Planning Commission and something from a company called Forward Analytics. I brought them all for you to review and take as you need to, but they're on the counter directly behind you by the white boxes.
Thank you.
Here's moves for adjournment.
Did you move for adjournment, Mr. Severson? Well, I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Mr. Van Landen. All those in favor of adjourning? Aye, signify by saying aye. Aye. We are adjourned. I don't have. Mr. C, I'll give you a ride. Would you mind? Which